Hello guys, this is Tynrael. Welcome back to the final episode of New Horizons, where I continue where I left off at the end of the previous episode. This ship that I have, I've gone through and I've collected the experiments from Jool and Nolus so that I can just pick up from here and continue through to Leok. Okay, here I have a transfer window planner for 5,726 meters a second that will get me from Jool to Sauna. You can see that I've got 4,275 meters a second left. That's just this current stage. Engineer isn't correctly calculating everything based off of the three different vessels that I have together. I just need to keep that in mind as I continue exploration. Here we'll just let our probe do its thing, scanning the surface of Leok, looking for, somewhere interesting to land. Here's the final map of Leok. It's looking like there are about 4 biomes. I may try to land on all 4 of them, if I am able. However, Leok, time to get some science. Do a little burn so we can get lower to Leok for the low orbit. I'm moving the entire tug vessel with the probe. Low orbit around Leok. Time to collect all of that science. I have experiment tracker, which you can see on the right side. It displays all of the active experiments that can be done. It seems to work fairly well. I still have Bob run out and collect all the experiments afterwards so we can stash them in the capsule. I'm not sending data that's worth 100% back to Kerbal. I'm holding on to it so that at the end I can cash it in all at once. Alright, here's a quick fast forward of Bob flying around the vessel in space in his magic EVA suit so that he can collect all the experiments and reset them as needed. I've also been removing the experiments from the capsule and stashing them back in so that I can continue to generate crew reports. I spent a lot more time messing with this than I probably should have. This soil moisture sensor will not retract. I tried reloading the scene and it didn't matter. It ended up just eventually being retracted when I orbited around, like I didn't even change anything, so I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna aim for that X. It's on the mainland, and then there's the gray fringe around it, and then between the gray fringe and the reddish brown area is another biome. The reddish-brown area being the other biome, so the total of 4. So this is the mainland. It looks fairly rolling terrain. I'm not seeing any real flat spots to land on. Just ease on into a landing. On the surface, time to collect all of that science. I think I have about 16 or 17 experiments, but only some can be run in particular locations. So for each one of these, I'm getting around 10 to 12. 3 planted flags, photo opportunity. You can see Jool there in the distance. Now, I think I'm going to go for these steep crevices first and then fly back up into the hills. All of this terrain is very uneven, so I might have a hard time landing on this stuff. It looks like there may be some flatter spots at the very bottom of the crevices in this reddish-brown area. It's pretty hard to tell how high the terrain is here, so I'm trying to maybe readjust myself to move away from the steep cliff faces, more towards where they scoop out at the bottom. Well, I seem to be heating up. I'm not sure if it's a bug or if something else is going on. Well, now I'm exploding. entire vessel is gone. Let me take a look at the information for this planet. Little is known about what this small body used to be like, only that this small moon has been literally tearing itself apart for millennia. Deep chasms extend its mangled terrain, all the while venting heat from its core into the vacuum of space. I guess that is why I exploded. Instead of going there, let's head off to these hills. This terrain is also uneven, but I'm gonna be landing here. A little bit of a slide, but I'm not gonna tip over. A new biome, time for some more science on Leok's decayed canyons. And then off we go to some more locations that we're heading to the Fractured Lands. Landing in the Fractured Lands, a little bit of a slide again. Kerbal inventory or attachment, I forget which one, does have anchors and grappling hooks, which I may consider adding to the bottom of my ships just so that I can winch down. I'm not sure how to retract them or if they're single use. I'll explore that in maybe some of my other games. Now that I've landed in the Fractured Lands, it's time to do the science rigmarole. I'm spending a lot of time running Bob around, doing all of this collecting. And after that, it's goodbye to Leok. We're gonna head away. Now we're just going to escape from Leok's sphere of influence and see if there's another body that is worth exploring. I think that I want to visit Ike, so I'm going to shift my plane to match Ike so that I can more easily maneuver to intercept it. And then it's just a simple maneuver to encounter Ike. Not too much Delta V to get captured by it, but I do have to pay attention to how much I'm expending so I can make sure that I'll be able to get home eventually. Space high over Ike. Time to get some more science. We'll let our ScanSat satellite do its thing now that I'm more easily able to determine the pole's location. It looks like there's an anomaly detected. I will probably try to land in that location. I'm using the entire tug again to burn closer towards Ike. I don't really want to spend a lot of my oxidizer because I want to be able to more easily maneuver into the atmosphere of Kerbal and slow down because I don't know how fast I'll be going. I hope to maybe spend half of what I have left, have about 9,000 left when I am done, getting probably 2 or 3 biomes on Ike. More science in space near Ike, low orbit. We'll just set up a maneuver node to ease in toward where that anomaly is supposed to be. And then sailing across the surface toward the marker I set, I'm not really seeing anything stand out. Oh, there it is. I can see a shadow. It looks a little more angular than the rocks that are down there. That's probably what the anomaly is. A little offset from my estimated marker. Slowly ease in, land here in the southern eastern mountains. That means it's time for some more science. Then we'll send someone over to explore this thing, this anomalous thing. It's a green monolith, I think it is. I thought the monoliths were black. So maybe this isn't a monolith. I'm not sure I've actually seen them before, but this is interesting. I don't seem to get anything from finding it, though. Now I'm just going to skim across the surface and try to get to the next biome. This current biome is fairly large. landing here in the Midlands, a new biome. I've spent more than half of my fuel, so this will be the last biome for me, I think. Midlands Science Collection. Let's get that going. And now we're off, away from Ike, going to go back to the vessel and start working on getting home. I'm going to focus on maintaining maximum fuel capacity in my probe as well as my lander. The fuel in the tug itself is going to be the most expendable. Before I start working on getting back home, I'm also going to get rid of as much excess weight as I can. I have a whole bunch of RCS fuel that I have not actively been using. You might have seen me puffing around on Ike with some RCS as well. I was just trying to assist with it, but my engines, my RCS blocks weren't strong enough to help much. Say goodbye to Ike on an escape from that. I spent a while trying to get the transfer window planner window to actually align with making it to sauna, and I didn't have much luck, so I'm just going to do it the easy way. I mean, it's not worth fussing over, so I'm just going to escape from Jool. After escaping from Jool, I'm going to change my inclination to match that of sauna so that I can just rotate around and find a simple burn. Simple burn achieved. Now it's just a matter of burning to get there. Of my 8 nuclear engines on the tug itself, I have disabled 4 of them. So I'm only using half of them. Things are really slow, but I'm trying to get the most out of the remaining Delta V that I can. So here's my encounter with sauna. You can see that I have a maneuver node way past the periapsis. I'm setting up an encounter with Kerbal so that I can try and get in front of it so it can help slow me down so I don't have to spend as much fuel. There's only 383 meters a second of Delta V left on the tug. That's not going to be enough to help me out, and I don't want to have to mess with what I'm going to be doing next when I actually need to. So here I disconnect the tug, it's going away. I'm going to connect the lander and the probe together. Bob's trying to strut the probe to the lander, but it seems it's too far away. That is probably a mistake on my part. I didn't think about I don't know what the distance actually is. I'll have to be very careful with physics, warping, and time warping in general to make sure these vessels don't break apart. In version 1.05, I wouldn't have noticed this, but my orbit is actually facing I'm rotating in a different direction than Kerbal, so I need to change that so I don't have to burn a whole bunch of fuel trying to compensate for going against Kerbal's direction to slow down. Arranging a simple encounter with Kerbal, it's not too difficult to set these up. I'm trying to shift my orbit to make sure that the exiting orbit after my encounter with Kerbal is smaller than the one that went in instead of larger. I want to make sure I'm not creating a slingshot maneuver. I have a whole bunch of liquid fuel and not so much oxygen. I don't think that I would be able to start burning at the periapsis with the nuclear engine and slow down enough to get captured before escaping. So I've been burning this entire time, going back and forth between the normal and the retrograde, just to shift my orbit around and slow down as much as I can, because I don't really know what to expect going into the atmosphere. The 1.2.2 atmosphere is probably going to be different than what I'm used to, and this ship does not have any heat shields, or radiators, for that part. After that extended burn, it looks like, yep, things are blowing up on the nuclear tug, but it's not important because I'm going to get rid of it. Before I go toward the atmosphere of Kerbal, I have significantly more liquid fuel than I have oxygen enough to burn it. so I'm going to start dumping that out. It seems like aiming for about 60,000 meters was not low enough. I picked up some heat on the experiments in the lower part of my rocket, but I'm escaping again. It didn't slow me down enough. That is a pretty nice view. Picking up much more heat now. It looks like aiming for 49,000 is getting me closer, but I'm still escaping, and it didn't capture me. Okay. Now I'm definitely getting captured, and I'm getting... everything is heating up. My aero brakes are ready to blow up. I've been retracting them when they get to about 10,000 out of 12,000 for their surface temperature, and then deploying them again, but I'm getting kind of worried that my ship might blow up. And now everything is a fireball. Some things have exploded. I don't seem to be going what I perceive to be that fast, especially considering that to escape the atmosphere you have to get up to 2,000 to be in orbit anyway. I don't really remember my exit trajectory speed. Having the wind slow me down, that happening around 15,000 meters seems a lot lower than I really remember. I'm landing in the mountains, of course. I've deployed my drogue chutes. I don't know if it's a mod that's preventing me from having this or if they've changed it in the game itself. But I don't have the ability to change the height for when I want them to deploy. Oh, there they go. And deploy the primary chutes. It looks like I'm going to be landing on a hill. And I'm going to tip over and explode. Hopefully the outer tanks will prevent the central column from... all I see is fire, but I still see Kerbals. Bouncing quite high, almost hitting a tree. And it looks like... I'm thinking I might have been saved by that pocket pylon and the docking port, maybe catching some of the impact. But the capsule's safe, and that's all that matters because it has my science in it. So let's see what I get. Alright, 11,623 science. That is a little bit more than I expected. I thought I'd probably get around 7, but I didn't really plan on going to Ike. Let's see what I can unlock. I'll unlock that, etc. And I've unlocked everything. So I guess that means I beat career mode. I never have to grind contracts again. It was kind of annoying to do that off camera. I will also mention that this entire thing probably took me like 120 hours with all the development, exploration, and testing. This final mission, just this episode itself, was 12 hours of footage, so I think that in the future I won't have these giant missions where Bob has to exit the craft, collect all the experiments, I have to dock with 2 different things on one ship multiple times. Because all that little stuff, it really does add up. But the reward at the end is a whole lot of science. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm probably not quite done with Kerbal. I'm interested to see what's changed since I was last in the scene.